guess what? Today is World Autism Awareness Day, April 2nd. In addition to this day, many of us celebrate the entire month of April. It is a day to raise public awareness of autism. You want to know more? Stay tuned. Hey sunshines, and welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Melly. You're wondering, the puzzle piece. I know some of us might wonder why the blue ribbons and also why the puzzle pieces. The puzzle pattern with the colors represents the diversity of people living with autism. And there's all types and different spectrums. I want to say on behalf of my family and my friends, we're going to continue to pray for the families who are dealing with the challenges with their children with autism, especially when they're home. It breaks down it just separates and it just crushes the routine and rituals. So my prayers go out to you too, for the guardians and parents hanging there, and to the students, you got this. We're going to talk about a little bit of my experience as a special needs teacher, and a little bit about autism. So there's so much to cover on autism, but I want to just keep it really simple and brief and make it very friendly in terms of defining autism. It's a lot of things that some of us might assume. I never say all, I say some. So just a little bit of my background. I have many hats, but the last, I think about 21 years, I've been a special needs teacher, and I worked with many students with autism. And it's been rewarding, it's been a blessing working with this population. Takes some heart to do what I do, and I love it. No regrets. For those, autism is a developmental disability, and it begins around 2 to 3 years old. Just from my experience, the disclaimer is based on my experience, it's around 3, but based on my research, it's 2 to 3 years old of age. And so, just wanted to clarify that. So, just based on my experience, I know some of us might be able to see it a little earlier, but from 2 to 3 years old. And I wanted to read something word from word from a great organization, autismspeaks.org. So I'm going to give credit to where credit's due. Autism or autism spectrum disorder, sometimes you hear the word ASD, that's what it means. Refers to a broad range of conditions characterized by challenges with social skills, repetitive behaviors, speech, and nonverbal communication. According to the CDC, which happens to be the Center of Disease Control, autism affects an estimated, check this out, 1 in 54 children in the United States today. 1 in 54 children in the U.S. Do you know that? As of today, as of 2020. So I just wanted to share that from autismspeaks.org. So we're going to go further. And again, autism happens to be a developmental disorder. It's not something that child develops because of bad parenting or things like that nature. It's a developmental disorder. And you detect it, many diagnoses around age 2 or 3, and different spectrums. And again, I wanted to clarify this based on my experience and based on my research. Autism is not a mental or emotional illness. Okay? Just keep that in mind, because a lot of us get some wrong information. And I know there's a lot of information out there, but I just want to make sure we understand that. It is not mental and it's not emotional illness. It's developmental. Just keep that in mind, okay? And individuals with autism, based on my experience, appear deaf at times. Not all. I say some. From my experience, from my 20 plus years of teaching, And I also work with different ages. The youngest I had with autism was around 6 years old, and the oldest I had was around 17, 18 from the high school. So I had a wide range of experiences. And also, sometimes they act up for no apparent reason. That's some of the signs. They appear to be a little anxious and nervous. They like a certain thing. For instance, I had one of my students in South Florida. He was in the 5th grade. And I always take inventory for my kids at the beginning of the year. And I discovered they loved the Wizard of Oz. And guess what I did? I love the Wizard of Oz as well. So I brought a lot of my collection, and I bought it and displayed it in one of the tables in my classroom. And one of the rewards were, if you complete a task, you could go to the table. And it worked out beautiful. And how did I work? Because I took inventory. Take inventory, guys. You'll be surprised at what you'll find in your kids. And sometimes you see self-stimulating. You hear that word a lot. It's because sometimes they rock. Sometimes they flap their hands. Things in that kind of nature. That is part of some individuals with autism. Just wanted to share that. I could get into a lot of details, but that's some of the stuff based on mine. Just keep it as a disclaimer. It's based on my experiences. And also, if you want to know more, you could Google anything. But guess what? You know the best thing to find out about children with autism? Ask your friends and parents you know, and even teachers who have individuals or even children with autism. Ask them, how is it? What does she like? What does he like? Let me ask you a question. From your experience, do boys or do girls have autism? Who has it the most? Based on my experience, boys. Tell me the bottom of the description. Tell me if you see something a little different. Just wanted to share that with you. So you're going to see a little, every child, they're unique. So I might have this child last year, a boy who was in the 7th grade. He has autism. Might behave way differently from the child I have this year, who happens to be a senior in high school. So always take note and how we modify and accommodate with our kids with disorders such as autism. So keep that in mind, okay? Taking notes? You taking notes? Okay. Next, I think the question is, what are some of the things that you can do? I'm going to share with you a couple of things that helped me, and some of the hints or tips or some suggestions. Number one for me is start that conversation with a parent or a guardian. I think when we take inventory and find out more about that child, it just makes it a smoother and productive year for the school, and also if your child is involved with other activities such as sports, such as the arts, like music. You'd be surprised. My students, they're so smart. I think some of us might make assumptions that children with autism are not smart. Highly intelligent, by the way. Anyway, so we want to know, how do we interact with individuals with autism, starting as young as 2 years old and older? Because remember, they don't stop having autism. It's something they have. There's no cure, so it's something they have. I remember I had one of my students who was 4 years old, and the father came up to me after the session. I was doing early intervention a couple years back, and he says, "Can you fix it? Can you cure it?" And my response was, if you would like, you could contact the agency. You go to your doctor, because I'm not, we all know as special educators, we're not allowed to diagnose, or we're not here to choose for someone. We rather just make suggestions. So that's something that I did. I was like, okay, I know you feel this way, and I know you address this, but maybe you could address this to the agency, and maybe they could give you some information, and some other resources. You have to be really careful when you give information because then sometimes is interpreted as medical or things like that. So we have to make sure we're really careful on how we answer those specific questions to parents or caregivers. So just keep that in mind. And one thing, and I have a tendency to speak fast sometimes when I'm nervous, right? So I practice to speak very slowly and use simple language, and model when you're directing or giving directives to a child or giving an assignment or something simple, assignment, things like that. Use simple language and model it. We're going to take this and put it here. And in some cases, you don't need to do modeling. Sometimes you just need to speak slowly. Some of our kids, they need to understand it. Speak slowly. And use concrete terms, please. And I'm looking at a book here, and very visual. A lot of my kids are visual. And I like this book. My friend has autism. And it's kid-friendly. I mean, it's something even adults can read. I think it was pretty awesome. And I got this for my son. I get all types of books. I mean, he's 15, but ever since he was born, I bought all these type of books for him. And, he knows my mom's a special ed teacher. And so this is great artwork, and it's very basic. Maybe like 2 lines. And explains very simply of what, and even ask you questions. It's good for a discussion in the classroom. And also you're sitting down at the home. And this is also a book like this, it could be any kind of book, but books like this, friendly, can really help the extended family members. For instance, if a child was just diagnosed with autism, sometimes, or even a chronic illness, I can even go further, sometimes the families might behave or they don't know what to do, what to say. They feel like they're walking on eggshells. But I think if you introduce a book like this and also start a conversation and ask, what do you want to know? Ask me anything. And you'd be surprised. Parents would just love to tell you. They'll tell you. Instead of making assumptions, for me, my job is to take inventory with the parents and also for the child. And you get so much information. But something like this is a great introduction. Kind of eases things. So I said concrete terms, speak very slow, again, and wait for the responses for the child. Don't feel like you got it wrong. No. Sometimes it's going to take some time for the child to register what you're asking, right? So just wait for the response. It might take some time, And also give lots of praises. I tend to compliment my kids all the time. If I find that the child has some cool sneakers or even some great artwork, or he helped another student, or I saw him pick up garbage, just little things, give praises, compliments. It works for me, and that's the key. And also going back to the self-stimulating behavior, don't block it. That's just who they are. Don't block it. Just let them be what they be. And unless they're not harming anyone, and you get used to it. There was a time I remember there was someone that had a comment to say at an event that all of us were sitting down, and one of my students was with the parent. Obviously, she was chaperoning, and I heard someone say in the back, "Why she keeps rocking?" She was a girl. Actually, one of my first students had autism was a girl. Why she keeps rocking? You can't interrupt it. And I think if more of us know more about autism, we'll kind of be like, okay, that might be the situation over there. But for you to shout out why she keeps rocking, she's disturbing, because we're in the audience, we were seeing the show, watching the show, and that's what happened. And it's good for us to have this, to continue with these conversations, know more about autism. I'm still learning. 20 years, I'm learning. I'm discovering things every day in my classroom, outside the classroom, through other parents. I'm learning so much. autism and other disorders, and even chronic illnesses as well. So just keep that in mind. It's very hard. I'm going to be frank. At times, for some, autism, children with autism, I don't say autistic. That's for me. I say the person happens to have autism. I don't say diabetic. I say the person has diabetes. I don't say hemophiliac. I say the individual that has hemophilia, right? That boy, the girl has autism. Doesn't define them. They're just unique, right? So, the key, repeat. And if you have to change it around and they didn't get it the fourth time, change your question. Repeat those simple questions. And again, wait for responses. I almost forgot. Shame on me. Repeat. Repetition. It's like anything. Sometimes you have to ask the question a little different, even with people who don't have autism. So change your approach. If it's not working this way, change your approach and ask it differently. Also, remember that individuals with autism are unique and may act a little different from us, but that's okay. We're all unique, and children and adults with autism are extraordinary in their own way. Remember, extraordinary and unique, right? I know we're going through some difficult times now in the United States, and I know I'm going to get off a little bit off this, but I didn't want to forget today. It's dear in my heart. As you can see, I'm wearing the shirt, and I'm wearing my bracelet. I realize that I hear the word a lot, the new normal of what we're going through with the coronavirus. Guys, just hang in there. I know there's people around us. I know you're watching it. You're going through some stuff right now, and hang in there. But guess what? This is a temporary normal. Okay? This is a temporary normal. This is not going to be the normal. We are resilient, and we got this. Okay? I want to thank again all the first responders. I have a long list. But guess what else I want to thank? I want to thank all the grocery stores who are open, that there's food, at the stores. I want to thank the post office, because I didn't realize how much I was writing now. I was writing to my kids. I actually wrote my kids and sent them a video of encouragement. So thank you to the post office. Thank you to the groceries. Thank you to the pharmacies. Oh, my God. And the other necessities of waste management. Oh, my God. Can't forget that. That's how our garbage gets picked up. Those little things behind the scenes. And thank you so much to the parents. It's a new job. You're homeschooling, right? And it's a new job for me. And I know it's a new job for many teachers around the world. And around here in the United States, it's like I feel overwhelmed because I have a new job and I feel like, am I doing this? Am I doing that right? But also in the same token, I feel blessed because it could be worse. I count my blessings every single day. Yes, of course I have challenges, and all of us in our homes are going through things, but I'm blessed. Overwhelmed, yet blessed. And again, I want to repeat this. This is a temporary normal. I just want to say stay safe. Thank you in advance. Thank you so much, for coming out. And you want to get some information, I definitely want autismspeaks.org. That is a great website. I want to read a powerful quote by the late Maya Angelou. I love her quote. And I just almost forgot to mention it to you, but let me see if I can read it. I have it actually in the poster. It says, in diversity, there is beauty and there is strength. In diversity, there is beauty and there is strength. The late Maya Angelou. For those who don't know, she's a great poet, great writer. great speaker. All right. Maybe you want to research her a little more after you're done with this YouTube, or check out my other YouTube videos. I love that. It's pretty powerful, especially what you notice with this trying times, how it has united us. It really has. My son is 15, and my husband and my son are DJing live on Instagram. Believe it? That's a part of the therapy. Looking forward to it. They do it like 2 to 3 times a week. They're going on week 2, and it's going great. To turn off the television for 1 or 2 hours. Not to say that news is not important. You need to get informed, absolutely, but to turn off the radio, close the laptop, sit down, hear some music, leave the challenges and the issues back there for a minute. So they've been doing that, and I think that's awesome. That's the best we could do, to give back. We've helped. I got so much text and so much great feedback. I mean, not just for the state of New Jersey, but everywhere. I mean, there was like 15 states coming out to support. And if you want to go and support the quarantine party to lift your spirits in this time, DJ Harry and Omar put it together at DJ Harry and Omar. I think they're going on round 4 quarantine Instagram live. So I thought I could kind of plug that in. But thank you so much for coming out and sharing a few minutes with me and all that good stuff. Be sure to subscribe and like my video. And again, it is okay to be unique. It is okay to be an extraordinary. Like I always say, enjoy and embrace your sweetness. Bye. Oh, one more thing. Okay, coronavirus, you need to go and never come back.